Good crowd. Come on up. Well, hello, everyone. It is wonderful to be here today in Lakeville and Dakota County, and particularly to be here with my friend Angie Craig, who is really happy to be in Minnesota after her long week and weekend, but she's, I guess, heading back. So it was, I'm glad that was over. I'm glad that we can move forward as a country. And one of the reasons we need to move forward is because, as we can see from a number of people here today, our local governments and our constituents expect us to get things done. And that's why we're so excited to be here today, Democrats and Republicans, right, Mary Liz, to celebrate this incredible project. So I'm glad to be here with Dakota County Commissioner Holberg, Dakota County Commissioner Bill Drotsky. We also have County Commissioners Joe Atkins and Lori Halverson. Mary Hamilton Rowland, good friend, is with us, as well as Sheriff Lico and Mike Erlinson and Lakeville Mayor Luke Hellier. And I actually met with the Dakota County officials, and of course Angie has talked to me about these important projects, and that's why a part of how we get this done is by actually knowing the details. And this whole idea of congressionally initiated projects is about that we hear things from people right on the front line, right doing the work, instead of having a bunch of bureaucrats in Washington figure out, well, that looks good on the map, why don't we help them? And Angie and I would prefer to have some input ourselves, and that's part of why this is happening. Investments in our infrastructure serve as down payments on the long-term economic well-being of the region and our state. So I'm going to start by talking about the work to advance the reconstruction of the I-35 and 50 interchange. This is a key corridor for Dakota counties and our state's economy, making it possible for the 88,000 cars and 8,500 trucks. I love how you guys differentiate. I do a lot of these across the state. This is the first one that did that, so that's pretty cool. The 88,000 cars and 8,500 trucks that use I-35 every day to access Lakeville. We know this number is only going up, and that's why Angie and I fought to secure more than $5 million to finalize the designs for this crucial project. It's going to help Lakeville, Dakota County's fastest growing city, which was pointed out to me several times, meet the needs of its drivers. I don't think it's a surprise that Lakeville is growing so fast. Its industrial parks are home to approximately 150 businesses that have created jobs and contributed to the success of the local, regional, state, national, and global economy through primarily manufacturing, but a lot of other things as well. So to help all of you continue to make stuff, invent things, and export to the world, we were able to secure the $750,000 to support a new freight rail car storage and transload facility in Lakeville to increase capacity of the local supply chain. Freight rail car storage, that sounds good. I've been hearing about this for quite a while, and it's part of the needs for the area for certain. Congresswoman Craig and I also worked together to get a significant federal investment of nearly $5 million for the Veterans Memorial Greenway. Dakota County is home to more than 24,000 veterans, which she has pointed out to me several times, and we see this project as an opportunity to honor their service while improving the experience of the 650,000 visitors who walk and bike the Greenway's trails every year. The commissioners were particularly excited about this project when we met because it would be such a unique project and something we need to finish up. The funding will make it possible to create safer crosswalks and make the Greenway accessible for the 6,000 people with disabilities living in Dakota County. Working with local leaders, we also were able to secure $325,000 to help the Dakota County Sheriff's Office continue to combat and prevent cybercrime. We all know, and I know this from my old job as Hennepin County Attorney, where I worked significantly with Jim Backstrom way back then, that yes, you have street crimes, but there's also crimes more and more frequently that especially target seniors that are on the computer screen. And people have come up with all kinds of innovative ways to pretend that they are with fraud detection and the like, creating cyber crimes, and it puts more and more pressure on our local police to be able to have the expertise to do something about it. Gone are the old days where I remember we would send people over to as a home where we knew there was something going on the computer, oftentimes related to child crimes, and the police would have no training, would like turn on the computer and then everything would be erased and then we wouldn't have a case. Okay, I'm dating myself right now. Those were the old days. It was literally taking the physical hardware of the computer. As a sheriff will tell you, things have greatly changed since then for cyber stalking, elder scams, and cyberbullying. This will allow the Dakota County Sheriff's Office to do countywide outreach, including to high schools and the local community of seniors, to educate people on the risks, to tell them the kind of scams that they're seeing, not only in Dakota County, but across the state and across the country. Because, unfortunately, cyber scams know no boundaries. They can come from anywhere. The budget process always has its challenges. I like that's in my speech.
See this gray hair?
Yeah, but with great partners like Congresswoman Craig and local leaders like we have here in Dakota County, it's possible to get a lot done. And moments like this show the fight is truly worth it. So with that, I hand it over to my good friend, Angie Craig. Thank you.
Wow, I feel like I should follow the good senator by asking if I could nominate Senator Klobuchar for Speaker of the House. I am the most grateful person to be standing in Minnesota and in Dakota County here this morning. I have a 10:50 flight, so we're all going to play Is Angie going to make her flight the rest of the morning to get back to Washington. I want to start simply by saying thank you to Lakeville for hosting us this morning. This is the largest city now, according to the census, in the 2nd District of Minnesota, and of course, one of the fastest growing cities. I'm just going to put the one of there and see if I can annoy Luke this morning. So. Look, I am so grateful to have been able to champion these projects through the U.S. House of Representatives. And the good senator is right. We work really hard in each chamber of Congress to get these projects into the appropriations package. And then at the end of the day, in the year-end deals, the omnibus, I end up having to lobby Senator Klobuchar to make sure that our projects stay in the package. And she is at the table every single day fighting for our projects in the 2nd District of Minnesota. You know, what we have accomplished by bringing these projects home is simply we're advocates for our local communities. I fundamentally believe that the projects that the federal government fund, it's your taxpayer dollars. We have not been able historically to get our fair share of our dollars back to the state of Minnesota. And I'm so proud overall in the omnibus I was able to secure $30 million back to the 2nd District of Minnesota in this last budget process. And then, of course, I needed Senator Klobuchar to get it across the finish line. So I'm just going to call her the closer this morning. If there's any reminder of why all of this is important, it's in the city of Lakeville, because you are dealing with massive growth in population. The project that we funded, I-35 and Highway 50, making sure safety is always at the top of mind in every single one of these funding packages and in every single one of these projects. You know, I look behind me and I see Mary Liz. Thank you so much for your leadership. I'm tempted, Bill Drosty standing behind me as a commissioner, but I keep trying to stop myself from calling him mayor up here. And I can tell you this, I was not coming back to the congressional district, to Lakeville, to Dakota County without the Veterans Memorial Greenway project funded, because Joe Atkins was not going to let me hear the end of it if I didn't. Sheriff, it is such an honor to be working with you. Congratulations on your new role. I worked previously with Sheriff Tim Leslie, who was such a strong advocate for the funding here that we've achieved and brought home to make sure that you can investigate these cyber crimes, these electronic crimes that have become increasingly so active, sadly, in our communities. The last project I'll just say something about is the rail car storage issue. Luke, I look forward to partnering with you as mayor, but we have to take care of this issue. This is a down payment on this project for sure. Doug Anderson was such a strong advocate as well as mayor for this project. He and I got in a car together one day, and he took me out to see directly what the issues are from constituents. And if I never get another call about rail car storage or the post office in Lakeville, I will be the happiest Congresswoman you have ever met in your entire life. And I know, Mayor, you and I feel exactly the same about both of those issues. So with that, I'm not going to talk any longer, but I do want to say, and I don't know if I'll get a chance to do this because I may have to leave early, that the U.S. House of Congress is offering a little gift to the City of Lakeville today. That's so nice. Mayor, could I please see you this morning? Mayor, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Congratulations and all the best to you and your 5 kids and wife, including, of course, your littlest too. So I'm so glad they're home and doing well. And these are for the City of Lakeville, and if they end up in your children's drawer, that'll be okay with me. Thank you.
That means a lot. I appreciate that.
Okay. What do we have next here? I was thinking as you were talking, Angie, about the rail cars, that when I did the Lakeville Parade a number of times, that's when I first started hearing about the rail cars. Way even before you were there. It is so, like you said, a beginning, not an end. Okay, so next up, we have, let's see, Dakota County Sheriff, Joe Lico. Oh, not speaking, I get it. Oh, I see. It says the people not speaking. You're just trying to surprise you, Sheriff. Next up is Mary Liz Holberg. Mary Liz. You were worried. All right.
Good morning, thank you. First, I'd like to thank everybody for coming today, especially my fellow colleagues on the board. We're grateful. We know that these investments took a lot of work by a lot of people in this room. We appreciate that. Somebody talked about Lakeville being one of the fastest growing cities. Given that you're operating on a national level, a recent article said Lakeville was the 30th fastest growing city in the country. In America. Yeah, so those of us that live here know about the problems of the interchange, the opportunity to add more capacity to that area will be huge, not only for Lakeville, but for the entire region. We'll make it safer, and it's, again, something we've been working on a really long time. This will provide planning money. We're hoping that if all goes well, construction will start in 2026. So again, thank you. We appreciate it. And with that, I'd like to turn it over, unless you would to, I believe,
Bill.
Commissioner Drosky.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Holberg, for the comments, and I appreciate having the opportunity to say a few words. I'm especially honored to be here, as this is my second week as Dakota County Board. As a former mayor of Rosemount, I've watched and supported the county's early planning of the Veterans Memorial Greenway, and I'm proud to say that a majority of it goes through my district. This greenway will be the first of its kind in Minnesota and is now closer to reality thanks to the nearly $5 million in federal funds secured by Senator Klobuchar and Representative Craig. Thank you. I want to thank you both for leading the effort and help us get those funds to jumpstart the project. It won't be long before we'll be able to enjoy this greenway right here in Dakota County, where our veterans' sacrifices will be honored. Lastly, the funding package of $325,000 to help Dakota County Sheriff's Office track and bust online predators and others who use technology to exploit our residents. Dollars secured by Senator Klobuchar and Representative Craig will pay for a full-time forensic technician inside the Sheriff's Office of Electronic Crimes Unit. The new position will help prevent online crimes and hold offenders accountable by investigating things like Senator Klobuchar stated, cyber stalking, elder scams, and cyberbullying. The dollars will also fund an effort to better understand the scope of online victims here in Dakota County. And with that, I want to say thank you for helping make our communities safer. Appreciate it.
Very good, thank you. Last but not least,
Yeah.
the mayor, new dad.
Yeah. Well, good morning, and thank you all for being here. I just want to take a moment first to recognize my colleague Joshua Lee from the City Council, and also the city and county staff who worked so hard with Senator Klobuchar's staff and with Representative Craig's staff to make sure that these projects were vetted properly, to make sure that they met the threshold for federal funding. So thank you to all of you who work here every day. I mean, we're part-time, so you're the ones that are in the weeds, so thank you for that. On behalf of the council and the city staff, I just want to express my gratitude to you, Senator Klobuchar, and to you, Congressman Craig, for working so hard on these two projects, the 35 and 50 interchange, which is really important for the entire region. Lakeville is the gateway to the Twin Cities, as I like to call it. We're the last bit of civilization before you get to Iowa. No offense, Northfield. But you know, we certainly like to be viewed that way, and that's a key thing for commerce for the entire region. And the rail storage situation will not only provide safety on the tracks in the city, but also economic opportunity for supply chain issues, as the senator mentioned, for our businesses here. So again, thank you both for your work, and thank you all for being here today. Have a great day.
All right. Nothing but a good Iowa joke to cap off the event. I will not share any additional ones, but I may know them. Any questions? This is actually an extraordinary group of projects we're really excited about. Anything? The interchange and what we need. Okay, do you want to talk about that, Angie can, or the mayor?
Mayor, you want to say a few words,
Yeah.
and then I'll add.
So the map over here, and we can talk about more specifics, but basically it's a widening of County Road 50, and there's also changes to the entrance and exit ramps. So really, as the senator said, there's over 90,000 trips that are going through this very compact area today, and it really ends up having a bottleneck all the way north past Buck Hill through the southern part of the state. And so this will help alleviate a lot of that congestion through that project.
Right, and the funding, go ahead.
I was just going to add, for each of these projects, one of the things that our office looks for is a safety element to it, and line of sight there at that interchange is really difficult, and so I think it's going to vastly improve the safety of that corridor here in Lakeville.
Exactly, and this is one of the larger grants that we got statewide. I go beyond the second district, and we've gotten about over $200 million in funding for the state. But this, as you can look at that number, this $5 million project is one of the biggest ones for the state. Okay. The completion date, anyone from the city?
Well, let me tell you the political answer.
I was going to give you the political answer, too.
Well, the political answer is, the timeline now is to start construction in 2026, but it really is going to take partnerships between the state, the county, and the city to make sure it
Because
happens.
it doesn't pay for all of it.
Right. This is a down payment really on further investment. So to have a date is a little presumptuous, I guess. That's the political answer.
Yeah.
Well, and the political answer from Senator Klobuchar and I is that it's a $45 million project. We were able to get about $5 million in funding. We'll do some planning with these dollars, but we would implore the state and the governor to prioritize this project in its work here in this session as well.
Yeah, and so how this works is the $5 million is not only obviously real money, that's actually the check's in the mail, right? It's done. It's not like they're applying against someone else for a grant. the county and going to get the money. But it also helps us leverage with the state. It helps them to say, we just got $5 million from those people in Washington, hard to get anything from, and we got this done, so they can go to the state and say that. So we have seen traditionally that when you get that kind of money, it really helps us to make the case to the state of Minnesota. And as we know, there's major bills coming up in the state, so the timing couldn't be better, because sometimes you do it and then you don't know what's going to happen. So we will also be personally lobbying the state and going to the governor's office and saying, for the reasons Angie gave on the safety factor and the bottleneck, how important this project is. And I've actually found those to be really useful arguments to make. I was just up in the Carver County area, and there's a project up there that has had 100 crashes in just the last few years, that one of the two dangerous intersections. So looking at some of those danger points that we see in counties actually surrounding the metro, it tends to be because the roads weren't set up for the amount of traffic that we're seeing in places like Sherburne and Carver and in Dakota, tends to have been some of my priorities in the last few years. Mary Liz, you know a little bit about transportation.
So I'll be the geeky answer here. In order to fix this interchange will require a new bridge. And a new bridge will allow for extension of the min-pass lanes down into Lakeville to allow for congestion mitigation during rush hour and then additional capacity in the corridor in off-peak. So that's why it's so expensive. We have the problem on the county road that goes underneath with only 3 lanes and everything backing up between 2 stoplights. But the real cost is the bridge and the extension of min-pass. Many of you now know that in the morning congestion used to start around Buck Hill. Now it's down by Highway 70. So we need that extension of min-pass to increase the capacity in the corridor as well.
And one of the things that'll happen here is we'll continue to request more federal money from, as will the county, from the Department of Transportation. So that's going on at the same time. There's other larger grant programs at the same time that the state will be working on it. But getting this $5 million is a major game changer in terms of starting to advance that money. Okay. All right? Thanks a lot. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Excellent. Oh, wait, she's going to make a flag.
I believe in you.
Unless there's a traffic bottleneck somewhere.